Welcome to the Rundown. My name is Ryan.
My name is Ray. Ryan,
Ray,
I got two words for you.
I can't wait to hear them.
What happened? What happened? What
Listen,
happened?
the city of Boston
Oh
is going through
no.
it in every sense. It's the Red Sox that are total ass and have fired everybody. It's
Deplorable.
the Bruins who got knocked out. That I don't think that was
Yep.
unexpected, but it did happen. Mike Vrabel and that entire mess that I don't even want to get into.
That's a whole nother
Spotify
story.
playlists. I don't even know. And then the Celtics.
Maybe paternity tests that need to be had. I don't know.
There needs
what's
to be a
going on
paternity
there.
test. I don't want to speak too much on this, but I will say, after all the things I've read, I've thought,
We try to keep it sports related on this pod, but sometimes it just bleeds into the personal life. Sometimes it's unavoidable. But yeah, it's a lot going on right now in the
lots
New
of
England world.
business being shared that I don't think anybody really expected. And then the nail in the coffin to the Celtics, I don't want to call it a miracle season because that's not what it is, but definitely an unexpected season of success.
Yeah.
And to watch it just fall apart. You're up 3-1. We can't even close. What are we doing? Tatum getting hurt again? And that's actually not even my biggest criticism. I think my biggest criticism.
Listen, we'll get into that because you know how I feel about
I know
that.
you heated about it for sure.
And with good cause, because there were statements that came out after that reinforced my feeling, but continue.
I think, listen, at the end of the day, what happened was we couldn't get it together. We couldn't close. The 3-point shot was just not consistently there. I got to say, White was, where the hell were you? Like this entire, he gave us something in the last game. I'm not going to take that away from him, but dude, we needed you.
He started hot in that last game, but then I looked at his stats at the end of the game, 26 points on 26 shots. That's not going to cut it.
To be
9
fair,
of 26 from the field. I think he was 5 of 16 from 3. It was
better than what he was doing a couple games ago. I mean, really, the only bench player that really had that one shining game was Pritchard. Pritchard was the only bench player I felt like really contributed in a very real way. We had no response for Embiid. We had no one. There was no one that could guard him. There was no one that could touch him. Maxey decided he was going to play well, and then fucking Paul George, this asshole who hasn't been around almost all season, gave us vintage looks, and I'm just like,
Paul
what
George,
the fuck
who was
is this?
suspended for PEDs or whatever the case may be during the season, and I think at that point, a lot of people just wrote off the Sixers at that point. And by a lot of people, like, you can pencil my name down because I absolutely was one of them. He went down, and Embiid was hurt all year. Maxey was trying to do it all by himself. Like, let's just be real. The Sixers did not look great all year. It's one of the reasons that they ended up having to play into the play-in game to get into the playoffs is because they really weren't healthy all year. And even so, Joel Embiid, he misses game 1 with the appendicitis surgery that he was recovering from. And even missing that game, a game that was never really close, I still expected when he got back that the series was going to look pretty much the same. Which maybe I was undervaluing Joel's Embiid impact on the Sixers a little bit, I will admit. But I didn't think his impact was going to be enough to put them over the top to a Celtics team that without Jason Tatum played fantastic ball all season. So I'm like, you add Jason Tatum. You still have Jaylen Brown, who played at a top 5 MVP caliber click all year. I'm like, the Sixers are done. This series is over, especially when it went up 3-1. But Ryan, the games still have to be played.
And they were. And the Celtics got played. For sure. They got
played badly.
I'm still in a bit of disbelief about it. I think
I am too.
I think if Tatum had not come back, like if he had stayed out the season, I think my reaction probably would have been like, well, guys, we did our best. Like, people didn't expect us to do this. Like, so good job. Good on you. But then just he comes back and I'm like, okay, well, like, I mean, I even said it. I thought the Celtics were going to take the East. They're not even moving on. And now,
I had Celtics Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think most people did. Like,
Yeah.
it's not, I mean, they were the top two teams in the East. So no one was really going out on a limb to say that those two teams were going to end up in the Eastern Conference Finals. But
Yeah.
if the Celtics were going to lose, in my opinion, like it would have been the Knicks in the second round. I will get to them in their series against the Hawks in a little bit. But I didn't think that the Celtics had a chance to lose
Yeah.
to the Sixers, and I thought the Knicks would be a tougher task for them just based off what we saw last postseason, the last time these two teams met. So I thought that was going to be a great battle, and I was looking forward to seeing if the Celtics could prove a lot of people that maybe that series would have looked different had Tatum not got hurt in that game. But again, that was in game 4. I believe the Knicks were already up 2-1 at that point. They had already proven that, they were really handed it to the Celtics at that point anyway. But I was just interested to see how the Celtics bounce back from that in order to redeem themselves from last year. But we don't get to see that now.
We don't get to see it. Nope.
We don't get to see that. Now, I'm a little disappointed, but I will give props to Joel Embiid. I'll give props to the Sixers. I don't think really anyone besides probably Philly fans had them coming out of this series. And kudos to those fans, because in their playing game, at the end of that game, they were chanting, "We want Boston. We want Boston." And after the first 4 games of this series, it was looking like they were eating crow, because that series was not pretty when it got to being 3-1. And those fans were looking a little foolish. And even when they were chanting, I'm like, "You sure you want Boston?" Like, I would be surprised if this series goes 5 or 6. And
I thought it was going to be done in 5.
They wanted Boston for a reason, I guess.
And
they wanted
them.
Boston.
And they got them. I think what is most disappointing is the Celtics bench. For me, I think people often just look to the stars and it's like, oh no, we've got Tatum back, we've got Brown, like it's going to be fine. They don't play the whole game, and they can't play the whole game. And quite frankly, I think Tatum played too much, if I'm being completely honest. And so your bench players need to be able to come up and make things happen. That was not in the cards for the Celtics. Very disappointing. I'm not sure what changes they're going to make next year, but I'm assuming it's going to be a few. And we need a big man.
You do need a big man. And you know what's funny? They traded for Nikola Vucevic this year, and I thought that was actually a really good trade for them. When they lost Al Horford and he went off to the Warriors, I thought that was actually a big loss for them. Granted, Al Horford was getting up there in age, but he was a big that could space the floor, shoot the 3, also pretty good rim protector. Now, Vucevic is not that, right? He's not a defender by any means. He's actually not good on the defensive end at all, but he is somebody that can space the floor. And I noticed he was barely in that game 7. Now, I know a part of that is because he's going to get bullied by Embiid. I mean, he can't touch Embiid, right? So I do understand that element to it. But when your team is shooting as bad as the Celtics were in that game 7, you need to go a different route to find a little bit more offense, because to Jaylen Brown's credit, he did a lot in that game 7, but he needed help. And when your next highest volume shooter is Derek White and he shoots 9 of 26 from the field, I mean, it's funny that we talk about the bench now, right, in hindsight of how little they did in this series, when this Celtics team, the depth of them was one of the strongest things going into this playoffs. And the depth of them being able to withstand Tatum being out all season is something that we gave a lot of credit to Joe Mazzulla and that entire coaching staff and that entire Celtics team. So to see them just completely collapse these last 3 games of this series is kind of just like, what did we just watch? Because it was just a completely different team.
We just watched trash. If you wanted to know, if you wanted to know what our trash can segment is for, it's just our entire segment on the NBA, because it's all, because I think the thing that is absolutely crazy was we saw there were 3 game 7s in the East. One is being played right now. That's in the first round. First round. I know you love it. I don't love it at all, but I can't believe it. I feel like this NBA playoffs has been one of the most unpredictable ones that I've watched. I think we've seen teams, Detroit, who was able to win and pull through. But a game seven against the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, I didn't
No.
expect that series to go that many games. The Magic were, I think a lot of people would agree, a little disappointing this season. You know what's funny? Like I thought actually one of the reasons that they did so I'll give the Magic a little bit of credit here because they did play through a lot of injuries this season. But their best player, Paolo Banchero, I actually was under the impression that he was hurt way more than he was this year. I think he only missed 10 games all
Yeah.
season. So when we looked at the Orlando Magic at the beginning of the season, a lot of us expected them to take that next step, be like a top 4-5 seed in the East, and it just never really came to fruition. They were battling through a lot of injuries, so I did not have a lot of stock in the Magic going into the series against the Pistons. I thought the Pistons would cruise, to be honest. And I believe the Magic beat the Charlotte Hornets in the play-in to get into the playoffs. And I was more excited to see Charlotte because I thought LaMelo Ball and that squad would have been a fun matchup against the Pistons. But this actually ended up being a really good series. I didn't imagine that the Pistons would have to be the one to battle back from a 3-1 deficit. But I'm going to give Cade and that squad a lot of credit because they could have put their heads down and they could have folded, but they looked at each other. They said, hey, listen, we're the number 1 seed for a reason.
Yeah.
And they came out, and especially in that game 7, they showed out at home. So good for them. They now move on to the next round, and they'll play the winner of this game 7 that's on right now in Cleveland versus Toronto, which has been another surprisingly exciting series. That's actually been a really, really good series. And that shot by RJ Barrett in game 6 that sent this to a game 7, shades of the Tyrese Halliburton shot against the Knicks, shades of the Kawhi Leonard and the 2019 finals. So not the finals, I'm sorry, but the 2019 playoffs. So yeah, this has definitely been an exciting series for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely that one. I'm not surprised necessarily went to a game 7 because there is a lot of they're fairly evenly matched, I feel. You know, when you have a seed that's like, what are they, a 4 and a 5? That's the seed placement for them?
I believe they're 4 and 5.
So to me, that usually denotes that there's going to be some good, healthy competition just based off of, the seeding. But I do think, I feel like I've been on a complete roller coaster in the East. I am happy that the Pistons are moving forward. I am not going to apologize to Knicks fans because I will never do that. But I was wrong. But I will admit that I was wrong.
Okay.
So I was wrong.
Compromise.
You did win. And that last game, after watching that, I don't even think Atlanta should be a team anymore.
Statement game by the Knicks. Statement game by the Knicks in that game 6.
Statement game, but then also if you watch the last couple games, I don't know if you needed a statement that was that insane because you were already probably going to take it, but
yeah.
First off, right, they should have called that game at halftime. Mercy rules. Who needed this? Nobody needed this.
At one point, they were up by 60, Ryan.
That's insane. That's literally...
That's insane for pretty much any game, even a regular season game. But for Atlanta to go down that much at home, mind you,
Poor
and
CJ.
what could be a closeout game for them, yeah, that was an ugly display. I think at one point, first or second quarter, it was 72-22.
I couldn't even believe it. The group chat was
you actually messaged
what
in
is
the group
even
chat.
happening?
You're like, is this a legit score or what's going on here?
I couldn't believe this was an actual game, an actual professional game that I was watching in the playoffs, no less. This is what we're doing. I just couldn't, listen, Knicks fans, enjoy. Do I think
they don't need your permission on that one?
They don't.
They were out in full effect.
They were. And good for them. Do I think they take the 76ers next, right? That's who's okay. And yes. I think
that's going to be another good series. I'm upset because I wanted the Celtics to move on. I wanted a rematch from last year's playoffs. But I mean, the consolation prize here is Philly and New York. And that's just going to be another fantastic series.
Yeah.
And New York fans travel. Did you see Joel Embiid's comments about
I did.
Making sure that Philly fans show up and to the arena to make sure that Knicks fans don't come in too much. I mean, he's not wrong. Even during the regular season, you can it's probably 65-35, like Knicks fans and
Mhm.
like Philly fans. Like they make themselves heard in there.
Yeah.
Very much so. So they
Well,
definitely got to worry about that during those home games.
listen, if I'm being honest, I think the 76ers, Embiid in particular, is a little banged up. He was definitely limping
yeah.
around at the
Oh, yeah.
last,
Yeah. Big time. Big
and
time.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, I feel like we've said this before. We'll say it again because I still think that even though the Knicks won and they won by a very large margin in that last game,
And somehow
it
that's still an
comes
understatement.
it's come consistency. Can you stay consistent? And that's what, if the Knicks are going to take the East, they have to remain consistent. Karl Anthony Towns, in particular, who, by the way, made a cameo in The Devil Wears Prada 2 that I saw over the weekend. And Ray, audibly, I
You know
went,
what?
no, I'm going to tell you. I see
Okay.
him come onto the screen and I go audibly in front of multiple people who are in the theater go, ugh. I just was like, I don't need you here.
But you
I
know what?
don't need you here.
Cat in that movie is somehow like the least surprising thing that I'll hear
I
today.
know.
Like that is such a Cat thing to just do.
After I saw it, I was like, yeah, I mean, it made sense. If you were going to take a Nick player, I guess that would be the one.
That would be the one. I'm
cameo
telling you. I'm
in
telling
that
you,
movie.
yeah.
But anyway, so they're haunting me now. So good luck, Nick fans. I still don't think you're going to take the East, but we shall see what kind of damage you can do in the next series. But I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
So just early predictions here. How do you feel about that series? Who are you looking
I think
at?
they're going to take it. I think the Knicks are going to take it. I think the 76ers are a little too beat up.
So it's interesting to me that you picked the Hawks to beat the Knicks.
I did.
But are now picking the Knicks to beat the Sixers, who beat your team.
Fair.
Okay.
There was a moment in time when it did look like the Hawks could take them down.
You looked like you might have been onto something for a little bit there. I will admit.
I was rooting hard for Atlanta. I've never rooted that hard for Atlanta.
It was 2-2 at one point.
And you know what? This reminds me of something. I just thought about this. I haven't rooted this hard for Atlanta since Atlanta went to the Super Bowl, played against the Patriots. And look how that turned out.
Yeah.
They died, just like the Atlanta Hawks. Just like the Atlanta Hawks.
So, okay, so which is a worse way to lose? Like, which is a more terrible way to lose? Getting blown out by 50 on your home court in a blowout game, or blowing a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl on national television?
Blowing the 28-3 lead. I think
that's rough.
Because
I agree.
It's only one game. So, like, you could look at the series between the Knicks and the Hawks, and you could see the decline. They're at, like, they weren't going to come back. I think it wasn't even, as soon as the Knicks started to climb, I was like, yeah, we're not, take the last game out of it. I didn't even think after the game before that I was like, yeah, I think this series is done. I don't think Atlanta's going to be able to take it. Versus, so you're watching a decline over time, which I don't think is as much of a heartbreak as watching a decline in 30 minutes, which is a half. Like, you're just watching it going, what in the hell is this? Like
watching a building burn down in front of you and you can't do anything about it.
No. And then it's only to be like burned down by a fan base who is already obnoxious to begin with. And now it's even worse. I think Patriots fans are more obnoxious than Knicks fans. So
I don't know.
No, they are. It's so bad.
But you know, the reason I think it's worse for Knicks fans is because what evidence do you have that you should even act this way? At least Patriots fans have championships.
They have championships to back it up. That's very true.
But it's just like the Knicks fans, just like sometimes they're like Cowboy fans. They really, really are. This is our year, and we go into the finals. I mean, this year, you never know. But they said the same thing last year, and then they ran into Tyrese Halliburton. So
here's what I'll say about the Knicks. If they take the East, which could happen, it's not out of the realm.
It's not.
You think that inconsistency is going to play well against OKC, who had zero problem
Or the Spurs.
breezing through their series. Like,
yeah, which we predicted. Yeah, they did exactly to the Suns what I did not want them to do to Steph and the Warriors. So, yeah, I was perfectly content with the Suns moving on ahead to that first round. It ended exactly how we thought it would.
Yeah. I just think watching everybody in the East, there's no way you're going to beat the team in the West. Just, I don't see it happening. I was really
I don't see
disappointed.
it at this moment. No, I don't.
I was disappointed the Nuggets bowed out so soon. I thought we were going to get a little bit more competitiveness. I thought we were going to get some more competition.
Oh, it was competitive.
And I meant further on.
It was competitive.
I meant I thought we were going to see, San Antonio and Denver. And I thought that would be a much more exciting matchup. But listen.
Same.
Minnesota is hungry. They are going to attempt to do something. I don't know how far they're going to get, but
well, as of today, it came out that Anthony Edwards has now been upgraded to questionable for that game 1 versus San Antonio. So we'll see how that goes. I'm very disappointed in Denver. I will say I'm very, very disappointed in how that series ended. It was competitive in the sense that there was a lot of what's the word I'm looking for here? There was a lot of combativeness between those two teams. I would agree. A lot of fire, a lot of heat, especially after Jaden McDaniels' comments. I believe this is after game 1 or 2 of, they're all bad defenders. The reporters looked at him. They was like, you're saying they're all bad? He's like, yes, they're all bad defenders. And you know what? As much as that comment annoyed the fuck out of me, he stood on business.
He did.
And after that comment, the Wolves proceed to just walk the Nuggets down nearly every single game. And a couple of those games were without Anthony Edwards. That closeout game happened without Anthony Edwards. And that defense from Minnesota was just swarming. They were all over the Nuggets. You know what's funny? Like, a lot of people say like Jokic had like a bad series, and then you look at his numbers and his shooting percentage was pretty bad. But outside of that, like, he averaged nearly a triple-double. Like, but that was like
Isn't
a
that
bad
crazy,
series for
though?
him. Yeah,
it's like he played terribly, but also still was able to achieve, this consistently.
Do you think that this performance by him and by the Nuggets and getting bounced by the Wolves without Anthony Edwards and Dante DiVincenzo, who also got hurt, do you think this was an indictment on Jokic's overall legacy?
I don't know. I think he's still got time to make up for it. I think this is definitely devastating. I mean, I think he put it best in the press conference when he said if we were playing in Serbia, we all would have been fired.
We would have been out of here.
Yeah, that's accurate. So I don't think I think the only way I think that this really kind of taints the legacy is if it really starts to go downhill
from here.
Yeah. But, I think, listen, reporters, I saw that they were asking him, like, do you want to stay in Denver? And he was just like, yeah, I want to be a Nugget forever. I want to be in Denver forever.
Yeah.
And I was like, but Jokic always looks so tired. And I don't know if it's just because he can't stand press conferences, but he just looks so over it all the time. Like, he'd rather be 1,000 different places. Yeah, he'd rather be 1,000 different places.
He wants to be with his horses in Serbia.
He
That's
gets
where
to
his
go.
Mind always is.
He gets to go to them now. So,
Dark but true. Yeah.
Good luck, sir. No,
where the fuck was Jamal Murray?
Nowhere, Ray. That was where he was. He was nowhere.
Yeah. Like, what's interesting about him is this is the time of year where he normally elevates his play. And he played this entire regular season. He was an all-star for the first time, which to me, even saying that out loud is just kind of crazy because Jamal Murray is such a good player. But he was an all-star for the very first time this year. He played consistently all season. I think this was a career high in scoring for him. Like, Jamal Murray just had a very, very good year. And when Anthony Edwards went down, the Nuggets were already down in the series, but I looked at that as a great opportunity for them to climb back into the series. And actually, I thought they could get the job done without Ant being there, and Minnesota just wasn't having it. No. But a lot of that was a lot of the Nuggets players didn't play to their capability as well as Jokic played. He can play more efficiently. I don't want to say Rudy Gobert had him in the death chamber, but
That's
he
not. I don't
he
really want to
he
give a lot of compliments to Rudy Gobert, so
Nor
that's
do
not.
I. Nor do I. But I did see him play some solid defense on Jokic. Jokic definitely didn't have his best series. Aaron Gordon was out for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
these games.
That
They
I
didn't
think hurt
have
a lot too.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have Peyton Watson for the entire series. So both teams were dealing with
Yeah,
injuries, but kudos to the Timberwolves. They're moving on, and they got a tough task ahead of them, and the
but
Spurs and Wemby.
I think like let's. How do I want to phrase this? I feel like with the Nuggets and the Celtics, I feel like it's a good thought of did they lose the series or did those other teams really rise to the occasion? And I think it can be a combo of both, but I think it's very clear Boston lost the hold. They fucked that up for themselves. Denver, I think, didn't so much lose it as I really do think the Timberwolves rose to the occasion. That bench came out and was like, no, we're going to play.
Now that's a bench that played very well.
That's a bench that played really well. So, but I think like a lot of times when we talk about series, there are the teams that definitely where the teams can be very competitive together. I think there are times when it's very clear that one team has just lost it and can't get it back. And then there are those other times when another team really rises to the occasion. But I think in the case of both the Nuggets and the Celtics, I think they were a very large part of the downfall, more so than I would say maybe the other team rose to the occasion. I think certainly with the 76ers in Boston. I think with the Timberwolves, you can make the argument that I think that they just played very well and very competitively. And I'm not sure the Nuggets were really prepared for that level going into the series.
Well, I think it might have helped the Celtics case in Game 7 if Jason Tatum played through whatever injury, knee injury he was dealing with. And what frustrates me most is, right, if this was a Game 6 and the Celtics could have afforded to lose this game, like if the Celtics were up 3-2 and they were debating playing Tatum this game and they said, you know what, if he sits this game and we lose, at least we have Game 7 to fall back on. If it's Game 7, you have nothing to fall back on. After the game, the comments came out today that Tatum said that had they advanced to the next round, he would have been available to play against the Knicks. So my thing is that series against the Knicks starts tomorrow. It would have started 2 days after Game 7. So how are you available to play the Knicks on Monday, but you're not available to play the Sixers on Saturday? That's the stuff that makes me upset with this current NBA. Because I understand Tatum coming back from injury, the Achilles, I get it. But this is your season right here, right now. If he can give you 20 to 25 minutes, you play him. And guess what? You ended up needing those minutes from him because nobody on your team outside of anyone named Jaylen Brown gave you anything. I mean, Derek White, again, like he put up a lot of shots, but he did not shoot efficiently from the field. And he was a minus on the floor.
Yeah.
So I just honestly feel like Tatum should have tried to play through whatever was ailing him. And I know the Celtics are trying to protect him from himself. He probably wanted to get out there, but if I'm Jason Tatum, I'm looking at the brass in the face and I'm like, I'm playing. In some way, in some capacity, I'm getting out there for my team because if not, we're going home for the season. And that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's tough to say. Part of me is like, no, I want him good for next season, so let's not overdo it. But I mean, I don't know. I think so even if they would have advanced, I don't know if they would have beaten the Knicks, not playing the way that they were, for sure.
Yeah.
So
I still picked them to beat the Knicks in that series if they advance, but I'm not as sure of it as I would have been like before that Sixers series, if that makes sense. Because the Sixers played them hard, and if Joel Embiid can stay on the floor for the rest of these playoffs, the Sixers just suddenly became a very scary team in the East.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I mean, the only other game of note to bring up is the Lakers, or series to note is the Lakers have advanced, which I don't think wasn't unexpected, but certainly no one expects them to go past OKC at this point. So thanks, LeBron. You did your best, and, we'll see what you do next year. I hate to write them off, but to write them off.
Listen, I mean, they have Austin Reeves back now. I still don't know what the timeline is on Luka Doncic. They just really haven't spoken too much about that. It still sounds like an indefinite timeline to me. That doesn't bode well. That does not sound good. You don't like to hear that word indefinite, because if you can't put a timeline on it, that means he's probably not coming back for the second round.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all things considered, OKC in 5.
Yeah, I think so.
OKC in 5.
I think so.
How's
Yeah.
Shannon Sharp be doing? Like,
yeah.
OKC in 5.
OKC in 5.
Yeah, I don't see
OKC in
really...
5, and then I think San Antonio in 6.
Yeah, I don't know. Now that the Nuggets series went as it did against the Wolves, that could go 7
though.
That could go 7.
I think it'll be done in 6, but
do you see any scenario in which the Wolves sneak past the Spurs?
I mean, not if Wemby has anything to do with it, but I think maybe. That's the thing about the playoffs that's so crazy, is that there is a chance. There's a chance.
I think that's what's crazy about this year's playoffs, especially because typically in basketball, especially like in a 7-game series, the better team's gonna win most times.
Yeah,
but and I think that's been the case for the most part in this playoffs. But like, I think the Nuggets series was a little bit of an outlier, because I don't think the Timberwolves team sans Anthony Edwards is better than the Nuggets, but they managed to pull that series off. So you do get some occasions where that can happen. And the Nuggets are one of those sneaky teams where their superstar is that good, and the supporting cast around them is good enough to where I wouldn't be entirely shocked if they beat the Spurs, but I do have the Spurs coming out of that series. I agree with you.
I think they will, but I do think that is going to be more of a fight than people anticipated that it would be. So, which always just makes for good basketball. So, these are the
I think
rounds.
OKC and the Spurs are just on a crash course. I think they're meeting in the Western Conference Finals for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top in that game. I think it'll be the Spurs. I stand by it. But listen, I got to tell you, anyone who wins the West, that's winning the whole thing. I wouldn't put any of the teams in the East against San Antonio or OKC to win.
At this point, like I said earlier, I don't think I would either. I still want to see a little bit more from the Pistons, who advanced today in their Game 7 against Orlando. I want to see a little bit more from the Knicks and the Sixers. But one of the teams we haven't really spoke a lot about Cleveland or Toronto, who are involved in a Game 7 right now. I expect Cleveland to win tonight, and assuming they advance, Cleveland is another one of those sneaky teams that could give. So they'd be going up against the Pistons, right? Yeah. So, that's going to be another good series. I do expect the Cavaliers to move on and give the Pistons a pretty good series the next series as well.
I think the one advantage that the teams in the East have, who are now playing each other, saying that Cleveland wins, your travel schedule, not very difficult. You're not going very far.
That's true.
So you're not having to deal with, any jet lag, there's none of that. So makes them more well-rested, I would say, probably. Then.
Yeah, especially that Philly and Knicks series. They're right up the highway from each other. So
yeah,
that's going to be a great atmosphere in those games. Those are going to be good games.
We'll have to see. But, Ray, my disappointment does not stop with the Celtics, because the Mets have just decided that they're going to die. Very horrible death this season. And I don't want to hear that it's still early. It's done.
Yeah, the season's a wash.
Done. We won today, I think, by some weird miracle, but I'm not. No,
took 2 out of 3 from the Angels, who also are terrible. So do with that information what you will. They snapped a 7-game losing streak against you guys last night, but you started another losing streak for them today. So good job for the Mets.
We're 12 and 22. 12 and 22.
Wow, that is rough.
Not even just 12 and 22,
10
but
games
12 and 22,
under.
And we're not firing our manager.
David Stearns came out and basically backed Carlos Mendoza the other day.
And listen, I don't believe that Mendoza is the whole problem.
No, I don't
And
think so either.
I don't think so. There has to be a culture shift within this team to have them come out of this at all.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's player personnel, maybe that's coaching personnel. I'm not really quite sure what it is. I know they're not playing well. And, a coach can only coach as well as the players can play. There is a symbiotic relationship with that. I mean, I will tell you, when Juan Soto came back and they had asked him, like, have you talked to any of your teammates? And he was like,
Bruh,
no.
and he said no. They've been on a road trip. I haven't spoken to any of them. Like,
that's a huge problem. That's a huge problem.
and how do you not like as you're answering this question, you have to know that sounds weird. No, he can't be that oblivious, Ryan, right?
But when
like
you don't
he
care,
has to understand the optics behind that answer.
but to
Or
be
maybe
honest,
he just doesn't give a flying fuck. You could be right. Maybe he just doesn't care.
I think it's the latter, but also I don't necessarily think that optics looks terrible on him. I think that looks terrible for the team.
Yeah.
So
As
is
a
it
whole,
that
I agree.
people aren't reaching out? Is it that he's not? Because there's one thing of like, if he's not taking any calls, I mean, that's
Right.
a
Right,
problem.
right. Yeah.
But if nobody's contacting him, when you don't talk to your teammates, it's just so problematic. And I'm really not sure, other than to say this season is a wash, I'm really not sure what to say about it. It's like nothing is going well in like any phase of the
in
game.
any aspect.
In any phase of the game.
I can't help but smile.
Shut up, Ray.
It's just like when I envisioned the Mets season, preseason, I pictured it ending badly. I pictured you guys doing well all season, kind of like how you did last year, having a great start to the season, rough middle. But I just pictured there's always a collapse behind the Mets' demise. But the fact that you're just crashing and burning early on in the season, I mean, it takes the suspense away a little bit for me, but I can't say it's any less enjoyable.
There's no coming back. It's done.
And it's funny because at one point, maybe 3 weeks ago or so, the Yankees and Mets were simultaneously both just playing terrible ball. And the Yankees have lifted themselves out of that to the best record in the American League right now. They're playing great baseball. I really have it's very rare to have no complaints, Ryan. So I'm going to say right now, I just have no complaints about this team. Just none. They're just playing fantastic baseball, and they have good problems right now. The Mets have a lot of bad problems, a lot of bad things to figure out. The Yankees have good problems, and we'll get into one of them right now. So Anthony Volpe has been recovering all season so far. He hasn't played in any major league games, but a lot of the narrative around his return has been, should he even come back to the team? So at shortstop right now, the Yankees have had Jose Caballero playing pretty much full time since the beginning of the year. And Caballero is great, runs the bases hard. I believe he's has the lead in the American League right now for stolen bases. Been playing a great defensive shortstop. A lot of the things that we've maligned Anthony Volpe for not doing the last few years. So a lot of the talk was, well, Volpe is guaranteed a job once he comes back from his injury. And Yankee fans are like, he hasn't done enough the last few years to be guaranteed a job when he comes back, right? We're not talking about Aaron Judge, who if Aaron Judge gets hurt, when he comes back, like, I'm sorry, whoever's in your spot has to take a seat.
You're leaving.
Like, we're taking Aaron Judge back. Anthony Volpe doesn't have clout like that. So we've been staying updated on his progress through his rehab. And the chatter over the last few weeks was, oh, Volpe's coming back. Volpe's coming back. What are the Yankees going to do? Are they going to do what they've done the previous years, which is pretty much coddle Volpe and pretty much give him anything that he wants and let him play every game? And it came out today. This was Volpe's last day of his rehab stint. And it came out after the game was finished today that they are not going to call Volpe up. And I have so much respect for the Yankees for doing this, because this is something that fans have been wanting them to do so much for the last several years, is stop making decisions based on analytics, stop making decisions based on all these stats, and actually look at the game and make decisions based off that. In these years past, it didn't matter how bad Volpe was playing. It didn't matter how bad he was hitting. It didn't matter how bad he looked defensively in the field. The Yankees would not sit him. They kept starting him. And Volpe is a young kid. So a lot of Yankees fans were like, listen, it's not that we don't want Volpe on this team, but this version of him is not successful. It's not being conducive to the success of the Yankees right now. So send him down to the minor leagues, let somebody else take his spot for a little bit and let him get right. But the Yankees refuse to do that. They just let him struggle and struggle and struggle at the major league level. So we expected the same this year. We expected that as soon as he was done his rehab, they were going to slide him back into the starting lineup and ignore everything that Jose Caballero did. And this time the Yankees finally put their foot down and they said, no, Caballero has been playing great for us all year. We have the number one record in the American League right now. We're 23-11. Too much is going right now for us to mess this up. And this is what Yankees fans have been wanting for years, is to actually make decisions based on what you're seeing from the team in this moment. Too many of these decisions have just been analytic based, and we just wanted more like field decisions. And this, for the first time this year, I feel like the Yankees are doing that. Ryan McMahon, I complained about him earlier in the season on the pod. He wasn't hitting. So what did the Yankees do? They started sitting him. Ben Rice, right? We talked a lot about how the expectations behind Ben Rice coming into the season, and Ben Rice has been a top 3 hitter in the league right now.
I've appreciated that.
He's been fantastic, even better than what we expected. But again, a lot of the criticism early on in the season was every time there was a lefty pitcher on the mound and Ben Rice is a lefty hitter, they would sit him down because they don't want the lefty on lefty. We're like, bro, the logic of baseball is you don't sit your best hitters, and Ben Rice is that. He's one of our best hitters. So lefty on the mound, righty on the mound, you don't sit him. And guess what? They've stopped sitting him against lefties, and he's been killing lefties. He's been hitting everything, lefties, righties, it doesn't matter. So this is more of the baseball that fans want to see. We want to see like reactive baseball from the Yankees. A player's doing good, you don't sit him down. A player's playing like shit, you do sit him down. And the Yankees of old have not really played to the feel of the game. And this year they have. And I think that's one of the largest reasons that they're out to one of the best records in the league right now.
Well, I'm happy for you.
That the tone there is not really consistent with the statement.
I want to be happy for you.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's hard when you're in the purgatory that the Mets are in right now. It's just like, so to me, it's funny because like David Stearns came out backing Carlos Mendoza. But to me, it's like, David Stearns, you're the one that should be on the hot seat here. Like, you put this trash of a team together. You cried about run prevention at the end of last season and making sure you prevent runs. And then your solution to that was to go and add 2 players that have never played their infield positions before, and Bichette and Polanco. So now Polanco's hurt, but right when he comes back, he's still going to play first base, which is a position he's never. And you added Devin Williams. You saw what Devin Williams did last year for the Yankees. Played like shit. Was probably one of the biggest reasons that the Yankees ended in a tiebreaker to win the American League and didn't just flat out win the American League because of the amount of blown saves that he had. And you decided to throw all this money at him, but you preach run prevention. And now Devin Williams is another one of the reasons you guys had that long losing streak. So it's like, all these roster moves that like kind of made sense at the beginning of the year, but like had some question marks about it. But it's like, oh, well, if it works out, he looks like a genius. Ryan, they're not working out.
There's no genius. I think we need to really take a page out of Serbia's book and fire everyone. Everyone should be fired.
I think Jokic was really spitting facts when he said that.
Well,
you gotta fire somebody, especially after Boston came out and fired Alex Cora and the Phillies fired Rob Thompson. Like, we didn't talk about that either. Like, we have these teams that I know we're only 30 games into the year, but they're looking at their roster like, okay, the players that we have says our record shouldn't look like this. So we're making a change. Why aren't the Mets doing that?
I will say this. I do not watch. I'm going to do a slight comparison here. I don't watch professional soccer. But I do know that when you suck enough, you get relegated to a
You're packed.
lower league. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the problem with US professional sports is there is no consequence for you playing like shit. You don't have, there's always the incentive to win, but like you don't have, for all of the NBA talk that they've been doing about this anti-tanking stuff and all of these
Mm-hmm.
things, there's no consequence. So like, what if your team went to the G League and you're just relegated down there
Right.
until you can
Yeah.
come, I think I'm not sure what the procedure needs to be, but this can't continue in this way. You have to have incentive. You have to have some consequence for, like the owner gets ousted after a couple, like, let's have some bylaws in the sport of like, if you suck enough, you have to sell your team to
Or
someone
if you
else.
have a top 3 payroll in baseball, you
Yeah.
shouldn't be 10 games under 500 at any point in the season.
Absolutely not. This is absolutely absurd that we're even discussing this, that this is even happening this early in the season, and there is zero consequence.
That a
Not on
team like the
coaching,
Mets,
not on players, and not in front office. And that's a huge problem.
if you
And
look at this Mets roster, there's no reason they should have ever gone on a 12-game losing streak. Ever. And the fact that they
no.
did with this collection of talent,
Mhm.
it makes you look around and you say, like, there's something underlying here.
Well, it makes me look around and be like, just start calling up people from the minors. Let's see what they can do.
That's another thing that the Yankees have impressed me with too, is a lot of times they like to stockpile their minor league talent and just hold on to it instead of, actually calling some of these guys up. So last week they called up one of our top prospects, pitching prospects, Elmer Rodriguez. They gave him his first start of his career in the bigs. That's exciting. One of our top shortstop prospects, honestly, a guy that a lot of people wanted to replace Volpe. His name's George Lombard Jr. He's been killing it in Double-A. So what do the Yankees do? They call him up to Triple-A. This is what we want to see. Like,
yeah.
good players are performing well. Call them up. Give them a chance. Bad players aren't performing well.
Yeah.
Sit them down.
Yeah.
And if you have a player that's in a position filling in for somebody else that normally occupies that position, I really don't give a fuck. If that person is playing well, you continue to give them playing time. That is how you feel out a team, and that's how you keep the good vibes going. The Yankees are on top of the world right now, Ryan, right? Proverbially, right? It's still very early in the season. But
Knock on wood.
the Yankees are playing great baseball. So imagine they bring Anthony Volpe in right now. They sit Jose Caballero. Anthony Volpe becomes the starting shortstop. The Yankees are inevitably going to lose a few games here and there, right? If that happens when Volpe comes back, you're just setting them up for failure. Because you're bringing in a cog that's into a system that's been doing fine. That system's inevitably going to slide back a little bit. The Yankees can't keep this pace up all season. Of course, fans are going to look at Volpe and be like, okay, well, things were going great before this guy came back. So I think what you do is you give him a soft landing, right?
Yeah.
Yankees start losing games because it's going to happen. When Caballero starts to pull back a little bit because he's been playing above his typical skill level, maybe then that's when you decide to slide Volpe back in, when the Yankees are not playing at their best. Because that way you give him a landing spot where it's just like, okay, now we have a reason to make this change. So I think they're handling this the right way. I love to see this from them. This is something that Yankee fans have not experienced from this organization in a while. So hopefully they can keep it going, and maybe the Mets could take some notes.
Yeah. Well, I think in general, these players are getting paid millions and millions of dollars. And when you don't play a player who's making a fuck ton of money, you're like, well, what is the point of this? But I would counter that to say they're not keeping up their end of the fucking bargain. So put somebody else in there who will. I constantly am amazed that, like, at a certain point, we stop benching players. And I'm like, no, like,
it's
sometimes
tough.
you need to bench them. Like, sometimes they need a consequence.
A lot of these organizations see the price tag on these players, and they're like,
Mhm.
well, I'm paying this guy $20-25 million a year. There's no way I can sit him because then I
Well,
got all that money sitting on the bench. But you
but
know what? Maybe
then
that might motivate some of these
yeah.
players.
But then I would counter that as, okay, so you don't want to sit a player who you're paying a fuck ton of money to, but nobody's coming to see your games because you keep playing like shit.
So who's going to
So
pay this guy's salary?
who's really losing out?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're losing money
Yep.
by playing somebody. And I get what you think, and I understand that, but I mean, really, quite frankly, the only people that I see being benched regularly are quarterbacks who are just not playing well. And I would even extend that probably to pitchers as well. Like those two groups, because they hold such command in the position and so much depends on them, I understand why they get benched. That makes sense, but start doing it to more people because
Yeah.
maybe they need to learn a lesson. So
For all
we'll
the
see.
flack that Brian
Yeah.
Cashman gets, Brian Cashman being the GM of the Yankees, I saw a stat the other day. The Yankees have had 32, and this is under Cashman's helm, 32 consecutive winning seasons. Think about that for a second.
Yeah.
32 years in which you don't end a season under 500. I know Yankees fans are preach championships, but when I look at it under that context, and then I look across at the Mets,
Yeah.
it could always be worse,
Yeah.
Yankee fans.
Could
It
always be
be
worse.
worse.
Yep. You could be the team that plays in Queens. So, yeah. It's trash. Well, quick wrap up for us with the NFL draft that happened. I didn't think it was all that crazy. I was very happy with the Packer picks. We picked some defense. We got a center. Very happy about that because we were rotating centers last year. So I'm hoping maybe we just get the one. And we got a kicker, which they're almost.
You mentioned wanting a kicker badly.
I did want a kicker.
Actually. Yes.
I did. And they're not drafted often. So come on.
Nice.
I don't know his name, but I will learn it before the season starts.
Yes, you will.
Hopefully he will be starting over McManus and we will have a strong defense, a great offense, and a kicker. That's
well,
my
the
hope.
Browns actually had a pretty good draft too. I actually saw afterwards that a lot of personnel actually graded them an A on their draft this year. Drafted some offensive linemen, which I love. I said that we need people to protect my boy Shador from throwing the ball. And then we drafted a wide receiver, somebody for him to throw the ball to. Two things that I said this team needed desperately. They listened to me. They listened, Ryan. I'm like,
they did draft another quarterback though.
So not only did, and this is where it's just like it's always some bad with the good, right? It's always I can't just sit here and gush about like our draft, right? There always has to be something extra, right? So we have like a pretty solid draft. We draft well, and then I see it's not even the fact that we draft a quarterback, Ryan. It's not. That's like the least of my worries. I get a notification that Deshaun Watson is emerging as the number one option for quarterback.
That's regrettable.
And I'm just like, when will we fucking learn? When will we learn?
You know what, Ray? I'm actually going to walk it back. I am happy for you with the Yankees because your basketball team and your football team are terrible. So I'm glad you have at least one team that is helping you through this difficult time.
I can't even deny it. Can't deny how bad those two teams are. No,
they're so bad.
But the Nets, at the very least, hopefully will get a lottery pick. And this is a very good draft for us to be terrible in. So I was glad that we were as bad as we were this year because this is a fantastic draft. Hopefully we get a top 4 pick because all those are looking really good.
Nice. I think the only thing in the draft that I saw that had a lot of people talking was the fact that the Rams took a quarterback in the first round.
Yeah.
And I'm not bothered by this. To me, if anything,
I'm not bothered by that either.
It shows you're planning for the future. You know, to be honest, I feel like that team is relatively still intact from last season. You know, I think they'll do fine. This plans for the future. You're employing the Green Bay method. And I got to tell you, 3 quarterbacks in.
It's a good idea.
It's a good method.
And Matthew Stafford, we all know, is not going to be there forever, guys.
No,
so
he's not.
You got to plan for his succession at some point.
And
so
I think now
why
was a
not
good
start
time.
now? Why not start now?
Because
Exactly.
he'll probably be there, I think, a couple more years. If he wins a Super Bowl this year, I think he'll probably be done. But if he doesn't, I mean, I could see him there for 3 or 4 more years. Still playing at a very elite level.
They're going to be good those years. So guess what?
Mm-hmm.
The Rams are not going to have high draft picks to draft a quarterback at that point.
Yeah.
So why not get one now? While it's still early, he can actually watch Matthew Stafford and learn from, one of the better quarterbacks in this league. I would say a top 10, 11, 12 quarterback in this league.
For sure.
So yeah, no, good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them. Planning for the future.
And Matthew Stafford would have more Super Bowl rings if he had not played for Detroit.
Correct.
I think that's just.
And the second he got to a competent organization with a competent roster, he showed what he could do there. So I agree.
Sure. And other good news for you, Pat Mahomes looks like he's back on track. I think he'll start the season. So
loving that. The GOAT will return.
I don't like that.
Not ready to go there yet?
Nope.
Now he's not that yet, but he's getting there.
No. I do think they'll do well this season. I don't think it'll be like last season. I think they'll come back and they'll be stronger. And I think if they make it to the playoffs, even if they make it to the playoffs, even if they don't make it to the Super Bowl, I think Travis Kelce will retire after this year. He signed, I think, 1 year contract. I think he's going to be done.
Yeah,
but
I think he's done. I think he's giving it one more go.
He couldn't go out last season. And I don't blame him. Like, that was terrible. No, play another season. You can't go out like that. That was terrible.
Just a bad season all around for the Chiefs, but excited to see how Mahomes and the rest of the crew bounce back.
I know. OTAs start very soon. Very exciting stuff.
Crazy to me.
I'm so excited. Now that all of my teams are done, including the Mets who are still playing. I need football. Need football to be here. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us at The Rundown. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Holla.